Don't think of her as gone away. Her journey's just begun. Life holds so many facets, and this earth is only one. Just think of her as resting from the sorrows and tears in a place of warmth and comfort where there are no days or years. Think how joy must be wishing that you could know today how nothing but your sadness can really pass away. And think of her as living in the hearts of those she touched. Nothing loved is ever lost, and joy was loved so much. Well, these words remind us that those we love are never truly lost to us, as long as our love for them and their memory remains in our hearts. And I have no doubt that Joy's memory will long live on within you all. It is in the gathering together as family and friends, when facing the difficult task of saying goodbye, that we find comfort and strength. And so I warmly welcome you here in honour and celebration of Joy's life. I would like to acknowledge those who would have loved to have been here today, but I haven't been able to. And that would be James, Louise and Alice, Atsuko, Hodoso, Andrew, Victoria, Edward and Chloe, Dorothy, Emerson and Margot Sherwood, and Robert. My name is Sue Alexander, and I feel very privileged to be invited to conduct this service for you today. Just a little reminder to pop your phones onto silent or off if you've got them out. It would be embarrassing otherwise. Today is a chance to remember Joy in all of her uniqueness, to talk about what she meant to you, and to be thankful for the time you shared together and the wonderful memories she's left for you to treasure. And there are so very many of those. Although Joy did value her privacy, she also loved to be surrounded by her family and friends, so she would probably be feeling quite pleased to know that you are all here to pay your respects to her today. It is of course a day of mixed emotions, because although you are here to celebrate Joy's life, there is always that inherent sadness when we know that we're saying goodbye to someone for the last time. Joy's children will deeply miss their mother and their friend. They remember summertime trips to Brighton near the bathing boxes or to Mount Martha, and they are certain that the black and white photo featuring on the IGA window there captures one of their visits. When Joy met Ian, Meredith's husband, as most of you would know that, and now of 50 years, Joy noted what a fine young man he was. He'd been playing with Kew Citizens brass band for a fete in hospital grounds, aged 15. Meredith will miss sharing weekly lunches, shopping and outings. Joy and Rod were Omar and Papa to 8 grandchildren. Matthew and his wife Jamie, Kate and husband Reese, Nikki and Andrew, Sarah and Steve, Andrew and Victoria, and Fazia and Sopa's daughters who live in Thailand. I'm sorry about that. And of course, little Alice Aitchison. The London-based family made several trips to Australia and always made time to catch up with Joy. And this is James speaking. When we took Alice on her second visit to Australia in February of 2020, we visited Joy at Victoria Avenue. As Joy was making tea in the kitchen, she called out, "James, do you like sugar in your tea?" And Alice, who had just wandered into the kitchen just prior to that, remarked, "Oh, you call him James. I call him Daddy." She was just 4 years old at that time. Joy was delighted to become a great-grandmother to another generation when Zachary and Amaya, Liam, Aidan and Bronte, Emma and James, Alexandra and Nicholas, and Edward and Chloe came along. She was very proud to be the matriarch of this growing family and loved to tell others all about them. But it won't only be her family who will miss Joy. With her positive attitude and cheerful outlook, as well as her huge heart, Joy made friends wherever she went, many of them lifelong friends. Everyone loved being in her company. Beautiful inside and out, Joy took pride in her appearance. She was stylish in a very classic way, glamorous, but in a subtle way, artistic and very creative. She was warm and welcoming. Her charm in meeting new people was always evident, and everyone experienced it, from her greengrocer of over 50 years, Toscano's in Kew, to people in any aspect of her acquaintance. We know from speaking with her carers here at UAW that this didn't diminish with her dementia. Joy was one of those special, kind and thoughtful people who always followed up to see how her friends and family were going. She had a great sense of humour and she loved to laugh, quite quick-witted. So whatever the relationship you shared with Joy, may you find comfort and strength in each other as you who have known and loved her are gathered here today. And let that love and support of each other carry on long into the days to come. So share your memories and stories of joy with each other often. There are many to tell, and it is in the sharing of our thoughts and memories that we keep those we love alive within us. And we're going to do a little bit of that today. The year was 1929 when Joy came along, a surprise daughter for Mabel and Charles Kerr. She was born in Eastern Kilda and joined her brothers Patrick, who was 15, and Robert, who was 8, in a loving family. They must have been delighted to welcome their first little girl into the family after so many years. She grew up in Brighton, not far from the beach, and had a great love for the beach right throughout her life. She only wore shoes when absolutely necessary, and her boys didn't wear shoes either until they had to when they went to school. That would be an odd experience for them, wouldn't it, putting shoes on for the first time after all that? Taking the children to the beach was pure happiness for Joy, looking for shells and going barefoot in the sand. Like so many of her generation, Joy faced many challenges. She was born during the Depression and halfway between the two great wars. During those years, food and other necessities were often scarce, and rationing remained in place for some time after World War II ended. The Second World War began when Joy was 10 and continued until she was 16. Her brother Robert was killed on a flying mission over Germany, which affected Joy deeply, and I'm sure the rest of her family as well. During the war, Joy was sent to live in Callista for her own safety. She really loved it up there in the hills and has retained a strong connection with the Dandenongs. After her parents died, Joy inherited the shack in Callista. This was 2 acres of old trees, the relic of a stone house, and many blackberries. Many weekends were devoted to clearing and nurturing this place, where another beautiful garden grew. The children were able to view Halley's Comet from there later. Rather than the hard times causing Joy to have a negative outlook, throughout her life she was very stoic and resilient, never seeming to dwell on the past, always smiling the wider world and making the very best of each and every situation. Joy left school at 16 to become a dental nurse. However, later on she became a library assistant at the Brighton Library. While she and Robert Aitchison, sorry, that word really trips me.
It's like the letter H.
Aitchison, I'm so sorry. While she and Rod Aitchison knew each other in their early lives, Rod was 9 years older than Joy. Both growing up in Brighton, they did not marry until 1962. But by the time they realised that they were meant to be together, Rod was a widower with 4 children, aged between 4 and 10, and Joy was divorced with 2 boys, aged 6 and 10. In their blended family, they effectively had 2 sets of twins. Rod formally adopted her boys, Robert and Peter. Robert was named after her brother who passed away, which is dead. After they were married, they moved into a house which was provided by the government, where they stayed for 20 years until Rod's retirement. There, in their limited spare time, they created a beautiful garden from essentially just a bare block. It was a small house adjacent to the grounds of Willsmere Hospital in Kew, where Rod was studying to become a psychiatrist, and later he became a superintendent. The children have memories of the freedom of play in the hospital grounds, races to the top of the old avenue of pine trees, cooking chestnuts and damper over little campfires they made in the backyard. There were many doctors in the street and their children all playing together. Joy was very supportive of Rod when he was studying to be a psychiatrist. He drove home in the Messerschmitt every day for lunch. Joy always prepared a beautifully presented table with napkins provided, of course. She ensured that a smart, clean tea towel was tucked into his collar to protect his tie. He had to go back to work after lunch. Even if she was out for the day, Joy still set up for his lunch. With 6 children to care for, she managed marvellously, was very organised, a proud and efficient homemaker with a knack for making everything flow smoothly. At 33, she managed the challenges of caring for their Brady Bunch without a housekeeper, no Alice there to help. Joy always had jars of homemade cookies on hand. Lizzie remembers cornflake and sultana cookies in particular. She was ahead of her time with cooking, really. She used garlic in her cooking before it became fashionable. When Graham Kerr was a celebrity chef, Joy enjoyed his program too. Joy had a sense of humour which was always just bubbling beneath the surface. With a straight face, she told the children that the wine that she and Rod were drinking was non-alcoholic wine. And Meredith, for one, absolutely believed it. Chinese takeaway was a rare treat. Rod would take 1 or 2 of the children with him to Glenferrie Road to collect their food, all in their own saucepans at that time. Yes, a well-deserved night off for Joy. And Christmas was never a traditional meal in the family home. It was a day where friends and family dropped in and Joy would cater for them, smorgasbord style, an open house affair. Joy loved cookbooks, especially Cordon Bleu, and had a wonderful selection, many of which have been passed on to Lizzie, who also has developed her taste for the garden. It's full of trees and plants from her mum and dad. As they all made their way into the wider world, their mum and dad provided them with cuttings and plants to help them in their own gardens. Cuttings were taken and shared. It was a tradition which still continues today. Once they retired, they sold the shack and moved to Peregrine Beach in Queensland, where Rod still worked as a locum, and they built their first home together, incorporating beautiful elements from recycled pieces, which Robert had sometimes sourced. They did a lot of the work themselves, including laying paths. Joy was never afraid of hard work. Once again, a stunning garden, featuring she oaks, tropical plants, and gardenia. Joy's innate creativity and elegant style was fully on display. With an eye for elegance and excellent taste, wherever Joy lived, she created a stylish home which is like something out of a Vogue magazine. They enjoyed their time in Queensland. However, when Rod became unwell, they sold up and moved back to Baldwin, where they knew the doctors there and could access much better care for him. And soon afterwards, Rod was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. But 2 more gardens followed after they returned to Melbourne. The first was in Baldwin, where a beautiful Japanese maple still features. And then Canterbury, where Joy and Robert moved after Rod died. Joy cared for Rod with love and devotion for 2 years before it became necessary for him to go into a care facility. He remained there for 4 years, with Joy and his family visiting regularly until he passed away in May of 2008. Joy then moved into a unit in Canterbury, where she found herself living next to Carol, with whom she made a fast friend who brought out the fun side of her. Joy's family wished to acknowledge her friend Carol. A very special friendship was treasured by them both. They shared so much laughter and a love of music, especially musicals like The Sound of Music. And apparently, they were preparing a show of their own featuring the Duchess. Carol continued to support Joy in her new home at UAW, a true friend. That's wonderful, Carol. There's nothing more special than a really true friend, and I know that you'll miss her deeply. 7 years ago, when Joy had a cardiac arrest, Peter was with her and performed CPR. Obviously, this had a profound effect in keeping her alive. Daily phone calls from Tasmania helped them both share very happy memories. A time of shared memories in Queensland, New South Wales and Tasmania. When Peter took Joy to Tasmania to stay with him, one of the neighbours gave her a daiquiri and told her it was a healthy smoothie. So after she had 3, she started to become a bit unsteady and Peter had to help her back to her room. When it became necessary for Joy to move from Canterbury to care here at UAW, she had a room looking out onto an old peppercorn tree, which was so appropriate for her. She loved it when visitors brought flowers for her to enjoy in her room, and this was always very much appreciated. The family set up her phone for her, and with a push button, she would regularly ring and say, "When you come in, would you please bring me a quarter-pound block of chocolate?" Block of chocolate over there, just to acknowledge. Joy loved animals and adored Peter's dog, Damon, who actually took a very strong shine to Joy. When Rod was sick and in care, she gave him a fluffy toy. And recently, Liz took this dog in for Joy to cuddle. Joy named the dog Billy, and he was a great comfort to her. When word came out that Joy's health was rapidly deteriorating, everyone rallied. In a matter of hours, Peter arrived from Tassie to be by her side. Joy enjoyed holding court, although she was very frail. How appropriate that she left this world peacefully, early in the morning of a glorious spring day. She was such a bright light in the lives of all those who were privileged to have known her. She will be very deeply missed. And now it is my privilege to invite Sarah to come and speak on behalf of Sarah's family.
Thank you for that. It was really lovely to hear. The most authentic way to begin my reflection on Omar is to address her in the way that she wrote every single birthday card to each of us. Omar, dear, you were not a regular grandma, gran or nana. You did not do normal grandma things with us, such as baking or sewing or trips to the park. But that's okay. I didn't expect that of you. That was never the deal because you were an Omar. Our times together were often sporadic but intensive, especially when we were staying with you at beautiful Perugian Beach. But I treasured those times with you and Papa, and they really do form many of my happy childhood memories. You were one of the most elegant and stylish women I knew. Your uniform of silk shirts or seersucker and bare feet was uncomplicated and yet effortlessly chic. Your spray-painted willow with minimalist decorations remains the coolest Christmas tree I've seen. When I was about 20, I asked you about the gorgeous, chunky silver bracelet you were wearing. You laughed and told me that it was actually a length of chain from the hardware store. Serious respect for that and a great little secret between you and I. Other random reflections. Always having individual nougats in rice paper wrapped in silver and presented in a fancy blue box at Christmas time. Introducing us to Vienna bread, the height of sophistication in the 1980s. Going to extensive artistic lengths to create buried treasure for Andrew to discover at the beach during a particularly rainy visit to Queensland. It involved spray painting rocks gold and sacrificing costume jewellery to become gemstones and pearls. The look of shock and awe when he found the treasure by his own carefully drawn map was something I'll never forget. Being okay with, well, at least on the surface, overly enthusiastic kids using the ice maker function on your very fancy fridge ad nauseum. Knowing more about my future husband and his family than I did because you consulted the Scotch Bible. The mixed smell of plunger coffee and potpourri when you were at the Mill Road with Papa. Being way ahead of your time with outdoor rooms, including the amazing rainforest shower at Perugian. The brown Toyota, and knowing that if we got a ride with you and Papa, there would always be some variety of cool nips in the glove box. It was a good day when you bought the choc mint ones. Allowing me to read your childhood fairy tale book, which included the terrifying story of Bluebeard, complete with detailed illustration plates. Casually showing us the frozen cane toads in your freezer. The humane way to dispose of them, apparently. Your beautiful and distinctive handwriting. If you ever wrote in lowercase, I never saw it. No. Always asking other people always asking after other people and actually waiting to hear the answer. Go well, Omar dear, you will be missed. And sorry, I've just got a message from Andrew in Sydney. He says, my memories of Omar are entangled with all other family memories. from learning that Matthew had given her the name from a native street neighbour's grandma, to recollections of a brown car with ample supply of cool mints when they visited. How much that is memory or Sarah telling you about it, I cannot say. Above all, I think of Perugian Beach, seersucker white and blue outfits, and orb-shaped decorative downlights, and a regular request for Papa to clear out the dead cane toads in the courtyard. In later years, I remember a good couch remaining covered in plastic. Is that true, or am I confusing it with a US sitcom? That's true. I'm glad to know that Papa had a lovely and stylish companion in life, and that he and Joy raised such wonderful aunt and uncles for us all. May she rest in peace.
Such wonderful memories. Thanks so much for sharing them, Sarah. That's very lovely of you, and I see her sense of style has carried through. Well, we've heard a little bit about Joy's life so far, but that old saying, a picture is worth more than 1,000 words, is very true. So I now invite you on a trip down memory lane as you view the photos and listen to the music, which has been lovingly selected by her family. And thank you so much to Bruce for putting this together. Following on, straight on from our photo tribute, we will have a quiet time of reflection where you may feel free to go up and place your sprig of rosemary up on the, in front of Joy's photo, but you're also welcome to keep it with you as a memory for her. So, but also while you're there, you might like to use this time to reflect on your own memories of Joy and the way in which she has enriched your lives.
Someone
It's
took
in
that.
that room. Yeah. It's beautiful. Thank you, Bruce. Lovely.
Yeah, very submarine.
That was great, Bruce.
Thank you, Bruce. And now, yes, we're just going to go into a time of reflection.
Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile, even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you'll see the sun come shining through for you. Light up your face with gladness. Hide every trace of sadness. Although a tear may be ever so real, that's the time you must keep on trying. Smile, what's the use of crying? You'll find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. That's the time you must keep on trying. Smile, what's the use of crying? You'll find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile.
Thank you, everyone. And yeah, photos are beautiful and they're lovely memories. They're yours to keep. All those memories, that's what keeps people alive within us. So, very elegant lady. There's no that jacket came across very, very well in the photos. Yes. Of course, there's conflict between our hearts and our heads when someone dies. The logical part knows that no one can live forever. Yet it is a different matter altogether of the heart, which so deeply feels the loss. Khalil Gibran wrote, "When you are sorrowful, look again into your heart, and you shall see that you are weeping in truth for that which has been your delight." And I'm left in no doubt whatsoever that you are saying farewell to an amazing lady who has been an absolute delight to you all in her own way, and she will be remembered in more ways that we possibly have words for. And now it is my privilege to invite Miro to come and say a few words.
Say it takes a village to raise a child. I think this could be said of supporting our elders. Sorry. So I'll just say that again. I think this could be said of supporting our elders too, in her latter years. especially after her cardiac arrest. Joy became the focus of her village. She was supported by her family, especially Carol, Rob's friend Chris, the Boxton Clark nursing team, her postie, Marcus, who was stopping for a cup of tea on his rounds. I thought that only happened with the job postman. Chris and Bruce at the Red Brick Cafe, where she had pancakes, pumpkin soup, iced coffee, or a cappuccino. There were times, of course, through COVID, where the village came in a different way. And I know Lynn and Emily sorted and thoughtfully arranged for Bread Street meals to be delivered on a regular basis through lockdown. And later, we arranged for volunteers to bring daily lunches through back care. Owen from Narrai Thai arrived every week with a delicious meal to help them not have to cook. And more recently, the wonderful carers at Uniting Age Well. So that was a rather special village, I think. I especially wish to thank and express my love to my village, Ian, Liz and Bruce, my children and their partners, for their care of me as I navigated these 4 years. Thank you.
And I want to say thank you to my darling sister.
Wonderful job.
Thank you. Love to see some of the people from here that have been able to take a moment from their busy day and pop in to pay tribute to Joy. Thank you so much for being here. Following on from the service, please feel free to gather in the courtyard where you'll be able to continue to share your stories and memories of joy over some light refreshments. When you do leave this place, take comfort in your love for each other and in your memories. Share them freely, without reservation. Seek solace for your spiritual peace for your hearts. And then one day very soon, may you be able to look back on Joy's life without sadness and smile, remembering all the good times you shared and the love you had for each other. Joy offered the hand of friendship to many, and those who took it, to their delight, discovered a true and loyal friend. Her beautiful big heart, her generous spirit, and her warmth and interest in people will be missed not only by her family, but by everyone whose lives she touched. Although Joy has left this world, her light will continue to shine as long as her memory remains within her. Joy's work here is done. The world is a better place because of her kindness, her care, her service to others, her stability, energy, and her sense of fun. And we thank her for all that she has given. May she rest in peace. And now may I ask those of you who are able to, if you'll please stand for our final song, and then just feel free to wander out into the courtyard.
and Joy used to sing that song to each other when they were leaving because they loved the musical so much. So yes, it's a very meaningful song, especially for Carol. Yes. Please enjoy some refreshments. I'll give you permission, okay? I'll talk to the CEO. Oh well. Cleaning up more.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, mold. Wine and computers. I'm huge. Come back from Japan.
Not especially for it, but I was here. I'd come back maybe more than a month ago, and then just the timing and circumstances.
Yeah, enjoy kind of stop eating.
Yeah.
It's going to be very.
Can't last for too long. There was discussion, but I think consensus on what we think. So for me, I think it's, in some ways I had the advantage of some separator and all this on, unless it's sort up. So this is very
Inside, it's nice and fresh outside.
But I think sort of long-suffering husbands, I think, will now maybe
So you got back to
yeah, so because of the coronavirus, so that's going to married in 2019 and was in landlord because of the coronavirus. I had been stuck there for a couple of years, but the week before I went back to Japan, that came 2020, the people I've been renting to next door, that was the last door for them, and they moved out. So they've 2 years there, nobody living in the rental property, and the other house, I think it needed to have work done on it. And so I'd come back just to try and sort out how much stabilising was necessary. Because at the moment, we repayments the sort of rental. The interest I'm paying is less than what I'll be paying if I was trying to store myself. Which makes sense for me to keep it. But
And you think we're talking about
and the sell the stamp duty was
so I recognise
that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, so I've got the bed in the kitchen, everything's in the kitchen, and everything else is split up in the garage. So I take it down the lamp across the ceiling. That's it. Well, yeah, but that's done already. But that was the safety of the house. And then take it full to the stand. So now I'm actually at least if you like.
Well, even though my house is livable, I mean, the point is, everything's getting popular.
Yeah, including ourselves. But
Well, yeah, I mean, what goes first? No, I mean, you know, there's the argument as well, you should make yourself comfortable. But on the other hand, there's plenty of money in something that
so
no one's ever going to appreciate it from you.
the only thing is that's going to not really keep on living in the place. But for me, it's how part of the story. So, but now I've said it's not the food, really amazing stuff, so everything's
I mean,
Because the other place, the rental is okay.
except that
Come out and pay the top up.
pathway into the front of it, all the concrete is sort of subsiding. Because I think when they redid the plumbing in the street, they didn't.
I've got to take another one for Dorothy.
Yeah. Whoops.
There's no room to go. It was like a big yes.